What's up, guys? It's Envy, and today on Sit Down with Envy, I have WKW Novah, right, which should be very interesting considering we've had a very storied history. No?
Oh, pretty storied, I guess. We've been around the scene for far too long. But,
That's why you're called an old man now.
yeah, old man Nova. No hands Nova.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm still in my prime.
Yeah, he's rampant, dude. Iron to plat champion 80 carry.
Mate, you should have seen me, especially on that Seraphim, which I didn't actually really want to play.
Yeah, well, that's fortunate. You wouldn't win it. Banished.
I will. I'll blame you and Banish because you didn't want it mid lane.
Yeah, fair enough.
Right, so we're gonna get straight into it because I'm a busy person. You don't really do too much, but
Yeah, fair enough.
right. So we're gonna start off by you telling the people. Now I know most of them are from WKW, so they already know who you are. But tell the people who don't know you about yourself.
Yeah, no worries. So my name's Matt, but most people know me as Nova. I've been around the league amateur scene since probably late 2018. Joined WKW when they first made their Iron to Gold team, back when Iron to Gold was what everyone played. Iron to Plat didn't really pop off in early 2019, which was what was called Weeknight Warriors back then. So yeah, I've been around for about 2.5 years, all with WKW. Now I'm an admin and just a general org manager. I kind of oversee all of the teams, and I also coach across the org.
Yeah. He loyal, apparently, is what Cruxy said.
Yeah, not wrong.
A lot of people would have left in about 6 months and then joined Kraken or something.
Oh, other way around, mate.
Oh, yeah?
But, yeah, no, like, generally, like, not talking out my ass here, but generally people don't, people stay in WKW, you know? If people step down from a team, they always hang around.
Yeah.
We've got a pretty loyal kind of,
Community.
following, I guess. Yeah. I mean, like, the main team, or most of them, they've all just played together forever. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, what Croxy said, it's a gang and you can't get out. He's not wrong.
Did you?
I'm blinking twice because I need help. I'm being monitored.
You're being monitored.
Yeah.
Damn. Now you mentioned you've been in the scene since late 2018, right?
Mm-hmm.
And recently you've played a couple tournaments. You know, you don't play every week, but sporadically you do. You know, you do show up.
Yeah.
I don't mean like you show up and win. I mean like you're there at the computer, technically playing mid lane or whatever. But between back then and now, do you see any like glaring differences in maybe the player base or even tournament staff teams and whatnot?
I think it's definitely evolved. I think that the kind of cash prize ladder scene back in the day definitely wasn't the same. I mean, you can throw back to this. I'm not sure if you actually won anything because you didn't come first like I did.
Okay.
But if you remember Tesla, that was like an RP prize. I think it was like just 6K for like a 9-week ladder or something. And now you have Iron to Plat have like $500 prize pools.
Yeah.
That's something that's definitely kind of evolved over the years. I kind of actually give my org some credit for this, as we did kind of pioneer the kind of small organization side of it. Not saying that we were the first, because Samsung did it before.
Yeah.
But we definitely started things off in the amateur scene with stuff like the Coliseum, and kind of events like that. And it's kind of exploded since then. There's been maybe 6 or 7 tournaments throughout a year, big ladder tournaments that have cash prizes, and because of that, the competition, the level's a lot higher. And yeah, it's definitely a lot better than it was.
Yeah. Going back to that, right? You threw a little jab about Tesla. I'm still salty over that, right? You know, rules being changed, my team not making it. The what if MSI didn't go start playing TFT after he told me it was dog shit on release? But
probably still nothing because you still got rolled by us in groups, but like that's fine.
Yeah, but we would have turned it on in playoffs. I'm a playoff person, you know.
Yeah, playoff envy. It's a mythical creature. Mythical creature because you never see them. But
Okay. uh,
right.
God
But
damn.
yeah, you don't win these ever, envy.
No,
No.
I
So
don't.
but I appreciate the effort. No, yeah, it's definitely a lot better than it was. On that note.
Yeah. Well, since you had a interesting career as a starting mid laner, I'm not gonna say good, right? You keep holding on to this one Tesla victory, and then haven't really seen too much after that. But what made you remove yourself as a mid laner and moved into a more supportive slash coaching position?
Yeah, so I lost both my hands in a smelting accident. No, what really kind of drove me. I'm really passionate about having people improve. It makes me happy to see other people get something out of time that I put in. It's not that I didn't enjoy playing as a player or I didn't have like success, because I did. Um, oh, no, that's not like a humble brag. It's just the truth. Like
Yeah.
we were a successful team. And obviously I can still win because the 3 or 4 times I played Iron to Plate, I've come first or second. Um, but it's more that I feel my strength is in processing information and being able to communicate that with people. And if there's players that are more dedicated to improving on the micro side and more dedicated to improving in solo queue and potentially being pushed through to plate to chell, that's something that I can help them with. And that's something that our org at Weekend Warriors really, really supports as well, as like much of a plug as this sounds.
Yeah.
Like we're all about like the grassroots to the bottom. Like we had an iron to gold. We still have an iron to gold team now with the acquisition of Alpha,
Yeah.
and so we have an iron to gold team as low as iron to gold to quite literally LCO. So we have every step going through there. If I can help push players up and then push players that were in those positions up, then I'm a benefit to the OC amateur community. I'm helping us improve. I'm helping OC become greater, and that's a small part I can play to help us.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, because I do find when, let's say, when a popular player in any of these brackets leave a team, right, most of the time you'll have like some nasty stuff come out about the organization. I've seen basically nothing when someone's left WKW, right? Um, which I think is a very good sign of the leadership, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're really strong in leadership on that note, and it's something that we can transition the conversation into because about like other org leadership.
Yeah.
Um, we have a pretty contentious relationship. I'm not sure if Banish is still lurking around the chat. Um, but pretty much from like the top down, no one here is really afraid to speak their mind. And because of that, we can kind of move forward to as an org, like me and Jungle Man and Can, like basically all of the senior leadership of WKW.
Yeah.
We disagree about a lot of stuff. Corvi, I don't think I've ever agreed with Corvi on anything ever. Um, we disagree about a lot of stuff. But because of that, we have really intelligent and meaningful discussions about how we can be better and why we're disagreeing. And because of that, we become a stronger org.
Yeah. It's not all I'm a yes, like, you have these four leaders and two of them are like yes men to one person, whereas one person's disagreeing with everything. So obviously that person's being shut out of stuff.
Yeah, you have that issue in a lot of other orgs where the leadership's kind of filled around with people who are yes men for the owner.
Yeah.
Um, the amount of times I tell Can that he's done something dumb, or to fuck off is numerous.
Yo, did you just
um,
swear on my podcast?
I'm sorry, my bad. Yeah, I'm sure you have the technology to bleep that out.
No. Nor
Well,
am I nor am I going to, but anyway,
that's
continue.
fine. I'll be nicer. Sorry. So, I mean, you've got Havoc swearing in chat, so
Nah, he's fine, he's a mod.
excellent. So, and that kind of stuff, it really does like kind of force you to address issues. There's definitely kind of amateur orgs or tournament orgs that don't do that. That kind of just surround the leadership with a bunch of people that tell the owner what they want to hear. And because of that, they're just very stagnant and they don't really ever move forward or improve.
They don't evolve, right, into
Yeah,
what
they don't
they.
evolve, yeah. Like look at, I'm not going to name it just for your sake, but there's one particular tournament org that's been the same for 4 years now. And that's, there's
Ah,
no.
oh yeah, you're gonna save me a potential ban again, are you?
Yeah, I mean, like I'll name it if you want me to be a bit controversial, but
I don't care. What are they gonna do? Ban my team?
okay, well, yeah, I mean, I'm talking about TMG here. Like, TMG have had the same leadership for a long time. I think Luna Moon's new.
Yeah,
From the conversations I've had with this person, they really wanted to improve. But the problem is that it's just filled with people that just like kind of gather around and just say that like the decisions being made there are correct and they're not. And
yeah,
coming from someone who's helped run an amateur tournament, you're not always going to make correct decisions. The power in becoming better is admitting where you're failing. And TMG never do that,
yeah.
ever.
So you can learn to improve off of your failures, right?
Exactly.
Because I had I don't know if you know this, but the original BSV, right before it is now, it was a OCE community that had ran in houses.
Yeah.
And then obviously when Blue came along and me, Dusty, Edgy, we all made a new BSV, which is why it still has that name, right, to keep the lineage. And it became based around like actual tournaments. And I was always the person who, if you didn't like what the other admin slash owner said, you came and spoke to me, right?
Yeah.
Because I would tell them exactly what's up, especially if I didn't agree with it either. So I was never the fan favorite in the board meetings, so to speak.
But that's not a bad thing. I think if you, yeah, if you move forward and you accept the criticism, it's going to make you a stronger person.
Yeah.
I've definitely had enough of it. Even as someone who started out coaching, um, I started out coaching with just knowledge of the game through just exposure to the game a lot. Um, I've failed so much when it comes to coaching fundamentals. I've just been lucky enough to have people like Banish and Ash around. Um, you know,
Yeah.
and today I still fail, but I'm getting better. The whole point is learning from your mistakes. So it's what really, if there is anyone from any orgs listening, any admins, just embrace the mistakes that you make. You can't deny them. They're gonna happen.
They
No
are.
one is ever perfect. Even at the top. Even if you look at the LCS, LPL, LCK, LEC broadcasts, mistakes are made on there too. I think Cadril messed up one of his segments on the LEC finals.
Yeah.
Shocks did that thing at Worlds that literally everyone hated. Like mistakes happen. You use them, learn from them, move on.
Yeah. That is very good to hear, right? Um. Now, when this wasn't an issue back when peak Iron to Gold, and what I'm referring to is, I'm gonna say 2019.
Yep.
Because that's when you had the AGC Dust teams, the S69s, the Supernovas.
Yeah.
It was very, very popular.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't really have too many issues of people being like, oh, well, that team has a Smurf, DQ them, right? Whereas nowadays, all I seem to hear is one, like Team A loses the game, and so Team A instantly suspects someone on Team B as a Smurf, right? Because they've lost the game and they can't take the fact that they were not the better players on the night. What are your thoughts on that kind of mentality?
Yeah. See, that's a great question. I think it's a twofold answer. I think that people have been smurfing more than they did back in the day because there's more reason to.
Yeah.
When you have these like $300 prize pools, $500 prize pools. That's like $100 each just to play League. That's not like a tiny amount, you know. Like you can do something with $100.
Yeah.
So that does incentivize people to kind of sandbag and decay and sit in a certain bracket so they can play. And I, as someone who's like really against smurfing, that's frustrating to deal with for sure. But I think that there is also a lesson in just learning how to like accept that you need to take an L
Yeah.
sometimes. You know,
Well,
yeah.
when people bring it up to me, right? Because I played around when Griff was playing Iron to Gold, and it was rough, right? Griff put everybody into the ground,
Mm-hmm.
but I always took the approach of the first time I played him, I was down 40 farm, I died 4 times in lane, right? Second time I played him, I was down 35 farm, died twice in lane. So as the more I played against him, the less and less I lost the lane, and then suddenly I don't lose the lane into him anymore, right? Because I'm playing against a better player, my skill level has learnt from that, and to me that is a advantage, not a disadvantage.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I actually said this in the BSV team representative chat. I don't resent TNS, for instance, for what they've
Yeah,
done. In the sense that they had their players sit in D4 and then qualify for Irons Plat. I think that them playing a 9 to Plat has forced the other teams that were kind of just stomping, like Sonic Boom, WKW, you know,
that's pretty much it.
MCOM.
We don't.
Yeah,
Incom's not on that list. No, no.
Ardor before they boomed the roster, I'd say.
Yeah,
All those teams to like pretty substantially level up their games. Like Iron to Play has definitely looks like a better bracket since I've been in there. But the real talk is that they shouldn't be in there,
yeah,
you know. But the problem is why I said it's a twofold answer is that there's just more incentive for them to do it because, firstly, it's just kind of fun shitting on people who aren't as good as you.
yep,
And then secondly, if you're gonna get an RP and then monetary reward for doing it, then like why wouldn't you? You know. And that wasn't really a thing back in Iron to Gold. At least not. I'm pretty sure that we only played for RP, and it was like it wasn't much at all.
no, and
Back then, it was like you got like 500 each if you won or something.
it would take like 24. We also got Triumphant Rise, but it would take like
that one,
20.
yeah.
It would take like 24 months to get there or something though.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, it's like half a year to get you RP. Like,
Yeah,
no cap.
but they were fun. There were
They were.
there were so many more people willing to talk trash to you before the game, right? And you kind of build bonds with
You build
other.
rivalries. I was always excited when I went versus you because like shitting on you was easy and fun.
Okay, mate.
People versus Griff was a hard matchup. When we transitioned to Iron to Plat, I used to lane against people like Jacob and Pressure. And I think they were the first people to really start punishing me for my poor laning, which is it's always been my crux. I'm a
Yeah.
monster in team fights, but my laning is fucking abysmal.
Actually, I have a tangent with
Yeah.
our boy Jacob, right?
Okay.
So back when there was the HF League, right? I believe they transitioned it into Blackout Esports. It was ran by Tyler, who's now of TMG. Yeah. I played into Jacob's team, right? Now at the time I didn't realize he was I don't really right, he couldn't see the particles on LeBlanc's E on the skin I was running, right?
Yep.
Which before the start of the game I didn't know. Otherwise I obviously wouldn't have picked the skin. And I solo killed him in lane, and like I was like very, very ecstatic about that. And then one of his teammates, right, after the game just started fucking flaming me for it, eh? At the fact that I will take advantage of the fact he couldn't see it. And like Jacob was just like, nah, he didn't know.
What type of colorblind is he, and what skin was this exactly?
Championship LeBlanc.
Excellent. All right, next time I have to lane versus Jacob in a fucking scrim.
I think it's better now though. Wait, hang on, you can't even play LeBlanc. Don't
Me?
Yeah, you. Oh, no, it was IG
Oh,
LeBlanc.
IG LeBlanc,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty much the same thing. They won worlds at some point.
That's correct.
Um, but nah, I just found that funny. It was probably my highlight of Blackout Esports.
That's
Outside of that,
that's
we
sad.
we don't
You,
really.
you solo killed someone who can't see your invisible particle. I'm very proud of you. That really sets the bar there, Envy. Like, holy
It's not
shit.
my fault he got hit by it.
It's like going and unplugging his monitor and like hyper bragging about how you've solo killed him. Jesus. Oh,
It's.
I think that sums up Envy's playing career there, boys. We can end the stream now.
What do you mean? I've won many events since then,
Yeah,
right? I just need superstar players and other roles to do it, apparently. But
yeah. Superstar Nova.
I was talking about Neymar. I don't know what the fuck you were doing last night.
I don't know, carrying you apparently.
I doubt that very much. You're more like
Sorry,
getting angry.
Didn't I go 17-5 in game one to make sure we didn't get KO'd in first round?
I mean,
I was carrying you.
I was the secondary damage.
Mate, I did like 3 times your damage.
Right. So we're gonna get back on track now.
Yeah.
We are gonna talk about organizations here, right? Now we
Okay.
did touch on it a little bit on the surface, but we're gonna talk specifically about organizations who willingly let Smurfs play on their rosters.
Ah, okay.
Right now, there are some notable ones. I don't know if you know these, but I'm gonna name one, right? Because fuck them. Ardor Amber, which was Ardor's Iron to Gold team, right? They allowed 3131J, who was Dutchy. Now,
Yeah.
he was a platform player, and platform to Gold 1 is not too much of a difference,
Yeah.
but he would still be considered ineligible for it. Now, everyone on the Iron to Gold team knew, everyone on the Iron to Plat team knew, and the org ownership knew about it as well.
Yeah.
And so I just want your take on, in your opinion, how badly does that hurt the org's brand?
It depends if they're going for a brand. So, for instance, with us, we've always been really intent on player development. This kind of ties into Weekend Warriors here more
Yeah.
than me. Um, a great example of this would be Jacob. He's the prime example of someone who wasn't platinum but wasn't a plat player. So we kind of pushed him through to try and get like D3, D2 pretty quickly, and then we looked at giving him a spot. We tried him for main team, and we tried him for weeknight, of where he played on and off for about 6 months.
Yeah.
You know, I think it really does harm an org's reputation, like a long-standing one, when they kind of let that shit go. The Iron to Plat scene's really big, man. Like, you see the amount of like views that these podcasts get if you upload them. I think like Jep's one and all that gets like 150, 200 an episode, which is pretty
Yeah.
impressive, you know. So it's a lot of exposure when you go and do shitty things and then get called out for it. You are just hurting the integrity of the competitive integrity of these tournaments by doing that, and you're really gaining nothing. No one's going to recognize your org for winning a tournament. People recognize WKW when we do well because our average rank is like fucking gold 1.
Yeah.
I think we have 2 plat 4 players and 2 gold 3 players, and like someone who's like, I don't know what he is, like gold 1 or something. So when we go and do well on I to Plat, everyone's like, holy shit, these guys are the real deal. And it was like kind of the same with IQ Gap even. I know
Yeah.
IQ Gap has a lot of controversy, but their team play was just really, really high level. And that was the same kind of thought process I had for IQ Gap when we played them in the BSV later at the end of last year.
Yep.
Which was they were around the same average rank as us, and it was just, man, these guys play so well together, and that's really impressive. And that definitely builds your brand, builds your image more than, man, those guys are all so good. They're all plat 1, 90 LP, with 40 games played a season. Like that.
Yeah. that's normally where the controversy is, right? You have these Plat 190 LP players who go and intentionally lose 3 ranked games so they stay in Plat, where if they played, let's say, 25 more games, they're probably Diamond 3 or
Yeah,
Diamond 4.
it's also just like it's really just expected that they win.
Yeah.
You know, like no one's going to congratulate TNS on winning another week. It just becomes a bit of a joke. Like, so oh look, the team that has mostly D3, D2 players won another Iron to Plat. Who's really fucking surprised? You know,
It's more about who gets second then, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. You know, um, but yeah, no. So there's some honor and the humility of having an org that builds players.
yeah.
When you have people that knowingly smurf, it's just kind of why it doesn't improve your brand. In fact, it damages it. It doesn't benefit you in any way anyway, because management of org, it's not like it gets like cuts of like your RP pricing.
No.
At least that's not how we do things. Yeah. So yeah. I don't know. It really blows my mind when you have people that just have, that know that they're smurfs. It's just why. Like they're doing it to either just like stomp people, and that also makes sense.
No.
So.
It's hard, right? But when for instance, there was probably like 12 people who knew, right? And the only reason it was found out is because one of them let it slip on someone's stream, right?
Yeah.
And they, even with him, they still didn't win fuck all, right? Which is, to me, the funny part, right? They had a smurf but couldn't win the game.
Teams like this often do, though. They often kind of just mental boom when they stop being so dominant.
Yeah.
People catch up.
Yeah, because they're playing at a higher level, so other teams end up rising to that level, right? The same point as before. And apparently Nay was just better. Motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, Nate's smurfing.
He would actually just go sit bot lane.
I know the truth, Neymar.
Yeah, we know. Right. Now, tournament staff teams, when they make calls based on personal relationships, what are your thoughts on it?
Are we kind of talking more about the TMG thing that happened a couple of weeks ago?
But-
Was that what the
I'm meaning
the
more
general gist of the line of questioning?
more generally, right? Because when it comes to all orgs done it, right? And I know orgs in the past, when one of their friends has hit them up about a problem, they are more likely to sway towards the friend's side than being objective about it. The TMG one is a very good example, right? So Mage Players United, which is my team, by the way. I'm
Yeah.
very good at building rosters. But we played Airport Speedrunners, right? Who have many friends.
Oh, I know all about the drama. I was the one that...
I am speaking to Twitch chat, basically.
My
in case
bad,
they
I'm
don't
sorry.
know.
Yeah, you go.
So in case people, didn't know, right? We're playing Airport Speedrunners, which has a few of their players are friends with the TMG staff teams.
All of them, but yeah.
Yeah, well. And shortly after that, I was sent a message, right, saying that we have been disqualified because, 3 of our players are no longer eligible based on people have been... we had this chat. People have been, complaining about them and all that. They had no evidence to support the fact that they were Smurfs or anything, right? Griff apparently played at a higher skill level, quote unquote, which, has been...
It's the dumbest thing in the world.
The people have been saying that for like fucking 3 years. God damn it, Griff. And then obviously Hirogi is allegedly tied to this other account, right? But the weird part about that is the Hirogi thing was brought up before our team even signed up, right? So once I put I'm now dropping things that people don't know. Once I signed up our team, right, the 7 players on the roster, I was then contacted by one of the TMG admins about one of my old videos that name drops the owner of TMG, and it wasn't in a positive light, but it was shortly after a story was spun that, in my opinion, hurt me negatively when it shouldn't have. So I, spoke out about that because it was about, scrim practice and all that, playing flex over scrims when I myself think that's a bad practice when scrims are so much better. And then we had, right, so I was hit up about that originally, right, because someone sent them the video. Obviously, I don't know who it is, but, it doesn't name drop her in the title. So someone's watched the video and then been like, he, let's try and get Envy in trouble. But moving on from that, the account which Hirogi was linked to, right, which he has denied it's his, would still be eligible under TMG's rules for the event to play, right? So that account means nothing in this story because he's denied it's his. You can't tell the man it's his account if he's saying it's not, right? It's
From
he's oh yep.
from what I understood, the issue with Hirogi wasn't it like a sum swap that happened 2 years ago? That was the information I was given.
That's what they pulled up, right? But originally it was because someone dropped that he was banned from BSV for 3 months because of an account that he was supposedly like linked to, and that's what they originally tried to get him for, even though the account would be eligible. But yeah, so shortly after our match into Airport Speedrunners, we were banned because 3 of our players were DQ'd, right? It was Griff, I believe it was Kevi, and Hirogi, right? Me and Kiyomiya, we were fine. And it was very strange that it had happened shortly after we played into the particular team, right? Whereas, because no other team had very many issues with us, signing up for it and whatnot. But obviously, they already didn't like me through past experience, with the whole Neymar situation, which we won't go into now, and the doxing. But, yeah, so I was just wanting your take on basically organizations and their staff teams not being what's the word I'm looking, professional, right?
Yeah.
When
So
it comes to that.
this kind of ties in to my earlier point about professionalism and having a balance of staff. Once you have a group of staff members that are all intertwined together, you stop having a clear perspective on issues that strike home to someone specifically.
Yeah.
So, say for instance, if I were to have issues with Nay, it would probably be Corby that would deal with it. Just based on the fact that like Corby's the most isolated from talking to us.
Yeah.
Like So I'm just trying to think of someone I can use as an example here. Say I have an issue with Jacob. Obviously, Jacob comes to me with an issue with Envy. Obviously, me and Jacob are very close. I've coached him for 6 months and we're good friends. What I would probably do is I'd probably tell Jacob to go and message Jungleman or to go and message Corby or Can, as I'm not going to be able to make intelligent decisions about this issue because I'm too connected.
You're too involved.
I'm too involved with Jacob. I wouldn't be able to see the perspective clearly. And that's kind of what we've been good at this entire thing. If we have issues that we feel that we can't resolve in between each other, we'll make sure that there's someone in there that has a clear vision of the entire big picture and doesn't have any kind of personal bias to stop people from seeing the bigger picture of the issue.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was very strange, but yeah, I dropped it in my team chat, right, and then I went to bed. I was like, I pinged the players in question. I was like, you go talk to the admins, right, um,
Yeah,
and then obviously I don't know what happened after that. I kind of stayed out of it.
I got involved.
Nova got Nova got involved.
I went into
Um,
bat for you boys. Holy moly.
Yo, and then we still lost the goddamn set last week. Oh.
It was useless. You're not making it out of the groups anyway. People said.
No, we are. If we don't make it out of the groups, I'd be so fucking disappointed. If it wasn't coming into winter, I'd say I'd shave my head, but fuck that. um, but yeah, like people like got heaps of bans and it
Yeah, that
was
was another. Just on that point, that was another thing that I just really, really disliked with the way that they handled that. I can't flame TNG too much. I really do need to like kind of express the positive here. The fact that orgs like this do these kind of tournaments for the scene
yeah,
is really, really big, and there is credit that needs to be given. Um, but having your owner go, please do not DM me as a name on Discord, and then having someone else just spam block people that are angry about the decisions or the
yeah,
bans, and the third admin, by the way, they only had three at the time, was unavailable. It's just a recipe for disaster, man. You need a bigger support staff, and you need support staff that actually want to listen to. The reason that people get angry is because people care.
yeah.
If people didn't care, they wouldn't give a shit. People would just be like, yeah, whatever. I'm gonna go to bed. You
Well,
know,
I'm
but people got angry because we want to see TMG better, and they just constantly fall below expectations every time.
yeah. I mean, yeah, because to me, what the way let's say Vidiku, stood right. It kind of hurts the now. Obviously, I think we make it out the group. In theory, I thought we make it out the group first, but we're gonna make it out at least one or two, depending on how next week goes. But I, how does one word this nicely? When it comes to like not having enough admins, when now I've heard some things from people who have left the admin team, right? And a lot of people have called it a toxic environment, and
Hmm.
which is why people don't hang around on their admin team. Uh, like half their staff team, if you go down the list, I feel like I haven't like spoken to half of them in like 6 months. And when you need an active staff team if you're running a ladder, right? Well, it's not really a ladder; it's like a group bracket event, but because they went on this like massive ass hiatus,
Yeah,
they had
maybe.
time to sort out their staff team.
So there's a really interesting parallel we can draw here between the Colosseum, which we ran.
Yeah.
Nay, if you're still in here, which I think you are, how many staff did we run for that? Do you remember? Because you were a part of. You weren't an admin at the time, but you did lobby hosting for us, right? We had a shitload of people help out with that.
Yeah.
I mean, we had obviously every admin was involved. I think we like promoted like three people to admin just for that event. Uh, and then on top of that, we maybe had 10 people help out as lobby admins. So these people make sure the game started on time, make sure there's no drama with the games. If there is drama in the games, go to one of the tournament admins, sort it out immediately, go back, fix it.
Yeah.
We had a lot of manpower because we knew that that manpower was needed. And then there's another thing as well. The first thing about the first thing that TMG really failed on was the group bracket draw of where they
Oh.
seeded the group brackets based on all the strongest teams in the same groups, um, which was so dumb. And it could have been avoided if just someone had used their brain and gone, you know what, we have a streaming platform.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just stream
A group draw,
the
right?
bracket draw. And that way it can be. There's so many reasons why we can do that. So, for instance, the way that we did it in the Coliseum would be, we did like a mock world scene where Cam like swished balls around the fucking thing and drew it out, like
Yeah.
like it was a piss take and it got like 50 viewers and it was glorious, TMG could have done the same thing with very positive reception. If they'd gone out there and they'd made fun of
Yeah.
themselves in a draw that was transparent and fun, the reception to the start of that would have been so much better. But instead, they went and tried to jig the brackets based on what they thought was fair, which turned out to be the most unfair thing.
Yeah.
And it also hurts the integrity of the tournament because then all the good teams are going to smash each other, and you're going to have like a TNS versus, I don't know, some shit team like Envy's team in the finals.
What do you
And
mean?
then,
Envy's team was in the same group.
yeah, well, you know what I mean. You have like TNS and then like versus like just some random like group of silver players who
Yeah.
come together.
WKW Academy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, us. And you know that would just be like a very quick 3-0, and that just like the best finals ever in Iron to Plat or Iron to Gold, I would say would be
What, two, right?
us versus Watch 2. Obviously I'm giga biased here. I thought the us versus IQ gap was also a fucking banger, which is 5 games
Yeah.
as well. And then also probably Tesla, which was us versus TBL, back when TBL were the Kings of Iron to Gold in the finals, which went 5 as well. You know, you get those like really hype, like probably first versus second seed teams.
Yeah.
That go 5. They're really intense. You get like 90 viewers in there, which is nuts for amateur. Everyone's going nuts in the chat. All the players feel good about it. All the viewers are having fun, and that's a massive positive. And
Yeah.
you wouldn't have just got that if those old brackets suck. And that was the first of many failures for this tournament.
Because to me, right, I think we still could have made it out that group, right? It would have fucking taken a lot of effort and, you know, some fucking mad coin flip games, but like it didn't benefit us in Group A or you guys in Group B, right? But it benefited Group C and D because they are much more considerably worse teams, just like on paper by itself.
On paper, yeah.
Right? And it was just like you are going to end up getting those quarters and semi-final matchups where you're going to get like 10 viewers because no one wants to watch this Gold 4 team in a Iron to Plat event, right? Play into, you know, these Plat 1 juggernauts because it's going to be a 3-0 like
Well,
really
it just
quickly.
wouldn't be interesting, you know. And that hurts TMG's brand too. You know, like you have the best tournaments are the ones that have been run above board. I thought that the BSV and the ECB ladder last year were both done extremely well.
Are we talking
what it's
Rift
worth.
Republic or we not Rift Republic? Are we talking about Rift Royale or the second one for BSV?
The second one, the one later in the year. The one,
Yeah.
I think the winners, I forget what it was called, but the winners of BSV were IQ Gap, and then I think
it was Alpha as
ECB
well.
was, yeah, IQ Gap and Alpha won Iron Gold, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's IQ Gap Sonic Boom Finals, because IQ Gap beat us.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like Jep and Crew won both.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Like those were hype, because like both of, I think, yeah, I mean, you know, the whole tournament didn't really have any drama, which is great. You know.
Yeah, it was, you know, you play games. I kind of want to go on a tangent because I do want your opinion on this, right?
Yeah.
I think this single elim bracket style event that, I'll be honest, the only, you know, ECB was running it and BSV was running it, right? And BSV is still running it. But I don't like that format anymore. I feel like it's extremely dated and people, like, the numbers have gone down significantly in recent time.
Really?
Yeah, we used to see like 25 teams, if not a bit more.
I also feel like that's partially because of the rampant smurfing that goes on.
That too.
Like if you're a bunch of gold friends, who really wants to go and get first rounded by TNS? Really?
No one really, right? It's not fun. Fuck TNS.
Well, I
But,
mean, I gave them a shout out before, just for the people who are like in here who are from TNS and other, you know, like other orgs. I did say that TNS did level up Iron to Flat, and I just disagree with the fact that they're there in the first place.
yeah. So on my my suggestion, right? Because
Yeah.
I did put this on when I was gonna make a video, but I don't think it would have been very interesting coming from me. Um, I now in ALCS, right? This is where the tangent is going. The old format for it, which was 10 teams in the league, and then there's a relegations and a playoffs. Right? There's like a middle seed. My my suggestion would have been instead of these weekly tournaments, you kind of swap into something like that, where it's a lot less work on the admins because a lot of the teams because you'd probably handpick the teams to start with, right? And like you'd go reach out to TBL, etc., etc.,
Yeah.
and you can kind of know that they're not going to go grab some Diamond 2 player to play an Iron to Gold because they've shown the integrity in the past, right? And with that, you would then you play out the split, kind of like LCS does, and then it can't be that good if Envy can beat Box Killer. It's true, Box Killer trash. Sorry, I had to mention that,
That's fine.
and with that, right? You then you do the playoffs and whatnot. Then you take a 3 to 4 week break for the teams. And is this envy? We're not gonna. Yeah. Sorry, I keep reading chat. Goddamn, Genzo's distracting me. So LCS format. You have relegations, playoffs. People play playoffs. Obviously, the ninth and 10th seeds. You then go into like relegation matchups. And in the 4 week break, the first 2 weeks you host two open Iron to Gold and Iron to Plat events that allow you to the winner of these would be single elim, right? I know I just single elim, but you kind of need to do it because you don't really have the time to run like two different divisions for it in the same Iron to Gold, and so you run the two single elims. The two winners of that, now the team that came ninth plays whichever team of the opens that they want to play, and then the 10th team has to play the other
Yeah. So
one.
you're talking about like the relegation format.
Yeah,
Um, I understand what you're going for here, and I respect it, but there's a ton of logistical issues with that. Yeah, basically what Cavi says, honestly, if you want to do ladders, just do what Alcyon and Samsung are doing. Have
yeah.
like 8 people, make them play a round robin, then do seeding based off the 7 people round robin. I
Oh, did you just cut out?
No, I'm just thinking the biggest issue with doing a format like the one you suggest is
Yeah,
that teams aren't consistent. So you'd never people aren't motivated to stick around for like a 12-week event, right?
yeah.
People always switching between teams. There's not a ton of loyalty outside of like maybe two orgs. Um, you're just not. I think something needs to change. I wish that there was a better way. I would personally just like more ladders, to be honest.
Yeah.
Obviously, there needs to be incentive for them, and that costs orgs money, and no one's really keen on fronting up money of their own uh, to fund this kind of stuff,
On
let alone their time.
on a quick like tangent, right? I know we're doing a lot of tangents tonight, but when org owners have like fronted the money themselves, if it's let's say it's $100 or something, right? And coming out of one person's pocket, that's a lot of money. In the past, people of the community have been really fucking how do I phrase this? They've been quite like snotty about it, right? Oh, that's only $20 per player, but it's like it's coming out. It has to come from somewhere, you know.
Yeah, if you're charging teams like a cost to play, then teams are going to stack it to win it and not so much play.
Yeah,
Uh, which becomes a problem with smurfing. Obviously, you're gonna have some team put up $50 of their money to play, and then it turns out that two of their players are actually D2. It's definitely a problem for the lower level brackets. For open, it's definitely who cares. Someone who like manages open, that's fine.
I was referring to, right. So it's not because I can see what Sherry's typing in chat. It's not the team putting up $100 for the team itself. It's the tournament organization putting $100 as the prize pool, and
Uh,
then people are like being snotty about, well, that's not a lot of prize, when it is, it does have to come from someone.
Look, as someone who works full time, I would be completely fine with paying Academy like a $50 entry fee to a tournament. That wouldn't bother me. I don't think it would bother any of my players.
Yeah,
But that's because Academy are just contenders. I think a problem with formats like that is that teams that kind of don't really expect to win, the kind of teams that are more realistic about just playing for fun, they're just not really going to want to sign up because they're just kind of throwing money away.
yeah,
I don't think people enjoy the kind of formats enough to justify paying $10 each for it.
yeah.
Which is sad. One thing I would like to see people do potentially just look at crowdfunding a tournament. Something that's little known about this is that actually WKW we kind of crowdfund. If we want to do something like really wild for the community, which we've got planned by the way, check our Twitter, WKWOC. Um,
Okay.
we'll like we've got like a org PayPal where people will just like donate like $5 each or something, and then we'll just get like $100 in there, and we'll do something like really wild with it. Like we'll make the entire org graphics and banners and backgrounds and all that kind of stuff, or which stuff we've done before, or as you can tell by our teaser on our Twitter, like we've created some kind of really cringe diss track.
You've
And by
done a
cringe, I mean it's actually fucking amazing. By the way,
uh
what Can is doing to it is cringe. So there's going to be two forms of it. Like keep your eyes to it. It's going to be incredible. Genuinely, some of the coolest content Amateurs done.
so
Uh,
what you're saying is I get first peek at that, right? Like I
no,
can react to
I
it.
mean, if you go on the Twitter, there's a little like 6 second sample,
I
or
don't,
no, 20 second sample. That's all you get for now until we're ready to release it. But it's pretty sick. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we've done. Obviously, I'm like giga hyping my org here.
yeah.
But I wish that more orgs would consider doing that. There would have to be trust there. I'm not sure if people really have that for like. I know I wouldn't do it for TMG. I would consider doing it for BSV. BSV were like, hey, we're going to open a PayPal to donate for for the BSV's next ladder. I'll chuck some money into it just
Well,
personally.
well,
I don't know if anyone else would.
even with that, right? Instead of just having a PayPal, right? Maybe you do like a crowdfunding night. You host some
Yeah.
in-houses. Maybe you get players to do like a nemesis draft where your team picks enemy team's champions, and you have some fun wacky casters, and you have fun with it for the night, right? And if people want to give, they can give. If not, you just hang out and vibe.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah, like something like that, and then that can fund like a 12 week ladder, a 12 week ladder. That's all you need.
yeah,
Um, you know, but
it's
it's obviously hard. You need to be transparent with what you're getting, what people are giving, so you're just not just running away people's money, and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, it's very difficult, especially when you start talking about money, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
that's why you've seen like so much like smurfing and stuff going on. It's all because money's involved. People are more incentivized to do shady things when there's real net gain to do it.
yeah, right. So
Back on topic, Mr. Tangent.
me, didn't you tangent too?
Not really. I
Okay,
answered your question about your tangent.
yeah. Where were we? Do you remember where we were?
We're talking about how I'd fix tournaments, format changes, rule changes. I kind of guess is what we're on.
Ah, yeah. So how would you fix tournaments? Yeah, yeah. How fuck's sake? How would you fix tournaments?
Um, Consistent rulings, I think is a big one. But in saying that, I also think there might need to be some inconsistency. Man, like I know I've mentioned TNS a lot tonight. It's not because I dislike them. I actually really like TNS. I think that they're like a really cool group of people. I don't have any problems with any of their attitudes. They seem like they just want to vibe and play games, and that's sick. I vibe with that. Uh, there should have been exceptions made for them based on the fact that it's very obvious what they did if you just look at their tier graphs, and why they did it. And then you have them come in and just win 4 times in a row. As for
Yeah.
them eating a 3-month ban, yikes.
Should have
You
been
know.
longer for Veggie. He's done it before. Sorry, mate, but it's true.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back into one of our earlier modules where we talked about people knowing about smurfing. You
Yeah.
guys knew what Arcanic was, I mean, like, and even if you didn't, it's your job to know.
Yeah. Especially if you're the captain, right? It shouldn't be going down under your nose.
Yeah.
Um, what else was I gonna mention? I was thinking something, right? So, back when, so there is a inconsistency that happened, right? Kraken Teal. Do you remember who was on that roster?
Of course I do. Yeah.
Right, it was the Jeremy Griff
It's
show.
Carl Foreigner. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Foreigner, by the way, is a WKW player back in the day.
back in the day, yeah.
By back in the day, I mean the same season that he decayed and smurfed is the same season that he played for one of our high elo teams.
Yeah. He also played for Kraken. I believe it was White.
Yeah.
And like he got a special ruling, right? He was technically eligible to play Iron to Plats, right? Based on what their rules were, but they were still DQ'd for it. Even though he didn't have any high elo account, and something like that probably should have been done in this case, but they're very they don't rush into a decision like that like very quickly
Well,
because of community backlash.
yeah, there's a really interesting contrast between what happened with Gryffindor and what happened, or what should have happened with TNS, which is what happened with Gryffindor. Saying Gryffindor is too good for Iron to Plat is wrong. I don't agree with that decision. Uh, I don't think that's the case at all, Gavi. I think you couldn't be more wrong there.
And D for Smurf.
There's a specific mentor to knowing how to play the game. You have come into our org Discord, if you want me to call you out, and you've said that if we could offer you a spot on Gravitas, you would get Challenger in a month. Is that not something that you've said? I'll keep you honest here.
God damn. Calling out my Iron to Play jungler like that.
Yeah, your Iron to Plat jungler that was also a 3-season challenger and ex-professional player, but hard plat by the way.
Did you see him?
Definitely to do with the meta change, and not because he doesn't try anymore.
No. Did you see him run it down though?
Definitely to do with the meta change.
He's done it many times recently, but no, I know what you mean, right? But I'm taking advantage of the rules.
I'm memeing you, by the way.
Me or him?
No, Cavi. It has nothing to do with the meta change. It has everything to do with with stop playing. Like unless you have like a fall and you get brain damage or your hands like fall off. Like saying a meta change is the reason you drop from Grandmaster to Plat 2 is just very incorrect. You can never ever make that. A meta change is not the reason that someone falls down over 1,000 LP and multiple skill levels.
Novah doesn't know what being washed is because he thinks he's been peaked since his MVP.
I mean, I don't really want to get into an argument with you, Shori, because I just kind of always like shit on you. It's just stops really being fun at this point. But obviously, I don't think I'm that good because I benched myself and I got another mid to play for me.
Yeah, then he had good vibrations at some
I
point.
can actually get on other teams and play the game and still win tournaments, which is something you can't do. So just honestly, don't even let my name come into your mouth, mate.
It's classic Flame Nova. The man just flame horizons people. Sometimes. Uh,
What do you mean, man has no idea? Sure, get your dick out of your mouth before you speak, mate. How do
uh,
I have no idea? I jungle gapped you so much that Ardor didn't want you.
uh, I mean, Ardor's a shit team though.
Literally one iron. Yeah, but he got kicked from a shit team.
Yeah, it was,
Do you want me to screenshot all of their players talking shit about you on the scrim set?
yo,
No, I've been a mid man the entire time, mate.
yeah,
I played actually. I played AD in season 9.
yeah, you kind of sucked. I won't lie.
I mean, I was like high plat in season 9. That's the highest I've been in solo queue.
And now you're fucking silver too. The meta must have changed on
I'm
you.
not silver 2. I'm like gold 3 now.
Holy fuck! I actually need to go climb then. Can't be the same rank as No Hands Nova.
Yeah, no hands. That's see, I changed my name every rank I'm getting now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you got a couple fingers now, do you?
No. I don't flame Griff. I don't flame people that are like nice. Like I have no issue with Griff at all.
Yeah, like you can disagree with what people do and still be friends with them.
Yeah, I mean that's it. Like I disagree with you all the time about like whether you're good or not, you know. But we're still friends, so that's fine.
Oh, you putting the friends. I'm just using
Yeah.
you for clout right now. Like
Nah,
fucking
that's fine. Get that
15
class.
viewers. Look at that. I'm just saying. Um. Yeah. So we were talking about fixing tournaments, right?
Yeah.
And we then moved on to talking about Crack and Teal and what happened with their team compared to TNS, right? And I think the same thing should have happened to them, or at least specific players, right? So, for instance, Arcanic, or like probably the main one is probably Ringrease, right? I think he's probably the biggest talking point on the entire team. Um, but then because it also happened to Liberal Minded, right, with their mid laner Afron.
Yeah.
Because they had to get rid of Jeremy for Crack and Teal, or well, they banned the entire team. I'm pretty sure for a bit. They also banned Afron from Liberal Minded to make things like fair because he was also a Plat 1 player, like chilling or however you describe it, right? And you could argue other teams have players who could probably also hit diamond, right, if they wanted to, and I'm not gonna go like name pointing at people, but because TNS is such a big talking point, right, and because they do win a lot more, and they overshadow some of the other teams' players who could probably hit diamond, um, and it's a discussions that's been had and should probably continue to be being done, but it's very difficult when a team is very well liked and the community goes and bats for them, even if the decision that the tournament team is making is the right one for the competitive integrity. What are you thinking?
Yeah. It's really tricky because there's obviously benefits with people like TNS and Kraken Teal uh
In the
being an
events?
interplat. You know, it does really level up the competition, genuinely. Um, but it also kills the scene because the people that can't really compete with him, even us, I think that we're probably like a clear. Say that you include TNS and interplat power rankings. I'd say that we're
Yeah.
probably a clear third, consistently a clear third. It'll be TNS and then Sonic Boom and then a decent gap and then us. I think if we were consistent, I'd put us up with some Sonic Boom, but we're not. Um, it's something we're working on.
Yeah.
Uh, that kind of stuff really does level up the scene at the higher end. At the lower end, it really hurts it though, because people just kind of no one wants to queue up and just get like minced You know?
Yeah. Well, it's like, what's the point? Why waste? Especially if your team gets a bye, right? Why waste 40 minutes sitting there, and then you just have to go play a team which could arguably mostly be diamond, while you guys are like chilling plat fours, gold ones. You want to have a good fun time with your mates playing competitive, and you lose in 18 minutes. You're probably not coming back. You'd rather spend your time.
Yeah, exactly. And there's the thing with tournaments as well is I feel like tournaments need to expand their reach somehow.
Yeah.
Try and pull in more players, but that's tied to them having fun too. Like if you pull in, say like they advertise somehow, they expand their reach and they have a bunch of like gold players that want to, 5 gold friends that want to come and play. And then that team goes versus Sonic Boom and just gets absolutely fucking annihilated. How likely is that team to play up?
They're
You know,
not. They're probably
yeah,
not coming back.
yeah. So that's like a really hard thing to solve. Um, and it becomes even harder in the Plat to Chelsea as well. The reason why people drop down and Smurf and Nine to play it is because they can't compete and play to Chell.
Yeah. They're not good enough to win
And,
that
and,
one,
and I
right?
mean this with the most respect for TNS because I genuinely believe TNS have some great players. But TNS, it wouldn't go well for them in Plat to Chell. Like it would just be carnage. Like
Yeah.
the difference between I said this to BSV today. The difference between a D1 D2 player and someone who's Plat 1 D4 is probably bigger than a D4 and a gold one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Cavi really agrees with me there. I'll be interested to see your take on that one. As you're definitely a little bit contrarian to what I say. Um, but the difference between like a really high elo person, like a genuinely a D1, D2 person, yeah. Sorry, I'm kind of reading chat and answering chat here.
That's
uh,
fun.
the point is to improve playing against better players, but there's a point where that's not really the case when you just get absolutely creamed. I'm not sure if Banished or even Cavi is still in here. Um, if I were to get Academy to scrim main team Weekend Warriors, which is something I've toyed with the idea of having you guys do if we get to the playoff stages, I'm not sure how much we would learn by getting 15-minute games by a bunch of Grandmaster players.
Yeah.
Because we're just going to get micro diffed in every lane. I remember, yeah, exactly. What Banner said. The gap between P1 and D2 is just it's astronomical.
Yeah.
It's bigger than D4 and like Gold 4 by miles. It's huge, man. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Kevy. Like, that's why people smurf and into plat. Because if you're a D4 player, if you go and play plat to Chell, you're going to get abused. Like say that I was able to get my shit together and I grew hands, and I got to D4 somehow because I can hang with plat ones and I
Okay.
to plat.
Okay.
No, I'm saying what if. I'm not saying I could. And then I went and I played versus Rue, or I played versus Jacob, or I played versus any of the top 8 amateur regular mainstay mids. I would just get fucked, and it wouldn't be fun.
I
You know.
mean, you've also got to then take in consideration junglers, right? Like, that's not fucking fun either.
Yeah, it's exactly. A really good example of this actually is bring up Tesla again. So when we had Tesla finals, we did a lot of prep with what the main team was back then, including like I used to lane versus Pixel, if anyone remembers Pixel, who was a D1 mid,
My boy
and
Pixel.
then like the Jungle Man. So we did a best of 3 scrim set versus the main team. It was like flip flop, Jungle Man, Pixel, Can, that roster.
Yeah.
And I remember us just losing in like 17 minutes. And I think it was back when Karma mid was meta and Triss mid was kind of becoming a thing. And I thought I was really good at Karma mid because I just survive lane and scale and just press E on my carry. And I remember Pixel solo killed me like 4 times pre-6 and then took my tower at like 7 minutes. And I was like, all of the plays that you're doing that I'm supposed to be learning from, like the positioning mistakes I'm making, isn't actually ever something that any Iron to Plat player or any Iron to Gold player
Yeah.
is ever going to do to me.
Yeah. So it's you
So
don't
so
really need that, right?
it's like relevant, but it's like it's not relevant, right? Like
Um.
you know,
Well, to me, that would bring up kind of, let's say you're a Plat 1 player and you have a Smurf, right? you're playing, let's say, 100 games in. We'll go bronze 2 elo, right? If you then go back onto your plat 1 account, you're gonna start making mistakes that those plat 1s are probably gonna punish you for, because you've grown a testament to making poor decisions because the players can't punish you for them, right?
Yeah, and it's also like that more on the high elo scene as well. You don't really understand the levels of mistakes you're making until you get punished by like the truly elite players. You go and you look at these 500 LP challenges that have been picked up by the development orgs like Gravitas and Legacy and all that,
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, there's been definitive improvement. And I'll be really curious to see how they do in Split 2 and next year. But holy, they just got absolutely fisted by the pro players that have been mainstays. Like the level change is just it's insane. It's really astronomical.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Like you build up all these bad habits that you get away with in solo queue, and then you realize that in coordinated play you just can't play like that. It's really really bad. You know, you see people make all these mistakes where they'll just die. They'll fall over and they'll go, I didn't know that could happen.
Yeah.
And it happens every time that you move up different.
Yeah, it's but yeah, going back onto the thing, right? Yeah, so those gold 4 players aren't going to come back for the event, which in the long run is going to hurt the numbers for a tournament, right? At the top end, you might end up with 3 or 4 really good teams, but it's not helping the scene grow into more. Because there are teams which they wouldn't stay in plat, right? They would look to go hit diamond, and move up, right? And then you kind of have nothing at the bottom to come up and replace it, which is never a good thing. But yeah, to me, solo queue is very different to fives.
I agree, but mechanics become definitely important. Well, I hate when people use Doinbid as an example, man. That guy's been top 10 challenge on a super server. You can't use Doinbid as an example. It's not like he has no hands, dude. His best champions are like Rise. Like people saying Doinbid has no mechanics are like genuinely brain damaged. like what the fuck? Like Doinbid's an insane player. The reason why he plays shit like Nautilus mid isn't because he's incapable of playing mechanical champions. It's because it matches the way that FPX play the game.
Yeah, because
It has
that
nothing to do with Doinb being mechanically inferior.
it's because of
He
that
plays
superstar jungler.
weird engagey shit mid like Cleared and Nautilus and all those picks because it works better.
Yeah, Nida's probably better than Doinbid, but we'll have to wait and
I
see.
still think that Knight is the best mid laner in the world, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah.
To get
Yeah,
roasted.
you did. I said I hate when people use Doinb as an example. Like, you can't use Doinb as an example. He's been top like 5 challenger on Super Server. I'm pretty sure he's been rank 1. His best champion is Rise, which is a mechanical champion. He just plays Nort and Cleed and shit because it like fits the way the FPX play the game. Like he literally had like a solo kill while he was timing. It was solo kill versus EDG while he was spamming sums in chat playing Akali. Like saying he doesn't have any mechanics is it's just dumb. You don't actually watch what he play. You don't actually watch him. You just regurgitate what Reddit says.
We don't like Reddit.
Like,
I fucking hate Reddit.
yeah, but like saying he's an example of like comp and solo queue being different is like wrong because he's been top tier in Super Server on solo queue too. He was challenger. Don't be super challenger all the time. He wasn't a challenger because he was playing at Worlds, but he's definitely been challenger before, dude.
Right. So, I think we're at the point where we're gonna answer a couple questions from chat for you, Nova.
Yeah.
Right.
I doubt they'll have any good ones.
So
Chat.
So if anyone has a intellectual question that you would like Nova to have his take on, post it now.
I'll be very, very surprised. Who's the cutest person in chat?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Probably
bro.
banished. Sorry. Follow your heart, Hiroski. Play whatever you want to play, dude.
Don't play jungle. Jungle sucks.
Nah, if you enjoy the game playing jungle, play jungle. You're more likely to pop off if you're enjoying what you're doing.
I wish I knew that.
Um. Okay. I'll actually answer this one seriously. Right. I think there's something that holds Envy back, and myself from solo queue as well. Uh, it's just mental, man. Like I think that if you could sit Envy down on his fucking chair and get him to play solo queue and enjoy it and not tilt, I think you could get plat pretty easily. But history has shown that that doesn't happen. So.
What do you mean? I never tilt. I just go 1 and 8 on Seraphine. But we don't tilt. I swear.
Because all banter aside, there are games where Envy plays genuinely well in 9 to plat, and I think that if you can play well in 9 to plat, then you obviously have like some part of you that is able to play the game at a high enough level to where you can compete, and that too as well.
I respect some people. I respect more people than I used to. Because I've been burnt so many times.
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of got to respect your opponents at every level, even when you're playing competitive. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it's like, it doesn't matter if it's like me or someone that you obviously have no respect for. Like, you're still gonna play like that person can beat you. As it's the most important way to have your mental kind of set. So
No.
that's at least what I believe. I do like a lot of like my kind of coaching, specifically for higher elo. It's really hard for someone like me to teach someone higher elo someone. I'm just more on like mentality of the game, how to approach it. Like when I mentioned that I've like done coaching for Rue, it's because it's just been like kind of supporting him through his climb, really, like being there for him to like bounce ideas off and talk about mentality. Telling him to stop bloody queuing is one big one.
Yeah.
You know. I predicted Pentanet for LCO. I thought that they were too strong. I also know that Pentanet's really, really into the esports scene, and have pumped a lot of money into it, Cavi. I was surprised that Peace gave them a really strong run in both the sets they had. I thought the gap would be wider than it was. Who I think could win some sock? I would probably say... I'm not going to say WKW.
Why not?
I'm not going to give too much away. I'm not going to tip my hand. I just think that we have a lot of work to do on respecting our opponents more. Kind of humility. We have an issue when we start winning. We kind of get a bit disrespectful, and we're trying to rein it in now, I guess.
Get the whip out.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. These guys have lost 2 in a row. I got to beat them a little bit.
2 in a row.
No, but, yeah, sad. No, but it's probably I would predict a WKW and maybe ZYZ finals. I'd say, or Incel Gang, for those who know the OG name.
And then TMG.
I'm not even sure who's playing in the Plat to Chell TMG. Honestly, as far as Iron to Gold, 10 aren't playing anymore, are they?
No. They were unbanned. Wait, Ring Race was re-eligible or some bullshit.
Didn't they like grief their game or something? They're just not trying anymore. Wasn't Ring Race playing like Teemo jungle and sitting in base or some shit? I heard.
I don't know. I know someone went AFK.
Yeah, that was Ring Race.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they still won the game.
Oh my god. Okay. Is Vigi still in here? Can you confirm?
They got that really shit group though. Tournament
Yeah.
admins.
I would probably say my money would be on. I would say if everyone's unbanned and everyone's trying, it'll probably be a TNS Sonic Boom finals. I think that WKW Academy could be contenders if we get consistency under control.
Yeah.
It's just been a really long-standing issue. We obviously struggle when we can't control the game. Mage Players United.
We're insane.
Maybe. I think also kind of can point at the same thing here as far as consistency goes. I think consistency is a really, really big thing for Iron to Plat.
Yeah.
you don't need to be incredible mechanical gifted gods. So it's not even some of the most crazy mechanical players I played against was when I was in Plat, and I think the most nuts rally I've ever played versus was like Plat 2. But like his decision making when the clock had 15 minutes was just the shittest thing I've ever seen. So you know. But yeah, if I have to guess, I'd probably say Sonic Boom for TMG, just to mix it up.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll probably say ZYZ for some socks, just because they always do well. I think they're like pretty handedly favorites here.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see us do well though. I think we'll get our shit together and we'll bounce back strong.
Hope so. I gotta flame somebody, right?
Exactly.
And I'm not flaming the roster because they're like too high elo. I'll just start flaming the coach.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I just yeah, I try and keep it honest for the people in chat. I'm a pretty honest dude, so.
You know, he's
I,
dropping
my
names.
coaching, it's my coaching style. I'm very honest of where people are at and where I'm at, everyone.
Right. So, where can people find you, Nova?
So people can find me at Novah_OC for Novah OC for Twitter. Twitch is Novah_OC. I don't really stream League because I'm conscious of how shit I am at the game. But I do stream TFT. I did pick D1 for the first set of Fates, and I will probably try and hit Masters for Season 5 because it looks pretty fire.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I played it on the PBE before work today. It was kind of pog. Yeah, I don't know. You can also message me on Discord as well. I'm always keen to chat with anyone if anyone wants anything, I guess. And yeah, those are pretty much the main sources.
Yeah. Well, thanks for taking the time out of your evening, right? You know,
No
you finished work, grabbed yourself your dinner, you know, 2 blue V's, which I...
Okay, the blue V's done. I'm not drinking both of them tonight. Have you ever drunk one yet?
Oh, okay, you're not even drunk one yet.
Yeah, look, one of them's for work tomorrow, so...
It's still not good for you.
Yeah, not wrong.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
That's why I do kickboxing times a week. So I can, like, eat like shit and not lose any weight. It's fine.
Ah, so you don't use a whip, you just kick your players. Okay, got it.
Yeah, that's the one.
Right, so from here, we're going to raid Corby, right? I feel like it's appropriate.
Excellent. Oh, of course, 100%. Raid Vanilla Boys.
I normally raid Corby anyway. So thanks, everybody, for hanging out and watching. This has been episode 4 of Sit Down with Envy. Peace.